Alrighty y'all, this is World Class Jerk, bringing you how to get infinite bytes in Astroneer with some very loud research chambers. It seems that their sound effects have indeed synced up, making them very, very loud. But that's not the point. The point is that today we are indeed going to be showing you how to get infinite bytes AFK forever. This will never stop working as long as it is set up correctly, but you do need to keep in mind that if you set this thing up correctly, obviously the one downside to this is that it's very, very expensive. I mean, in order to set something this overpowered up, it is obviously going to cost you, and you know, this isn't actually something I was going to go into yet, but given that these are just now ending, it is a good time to represent that these things right here are the rocks that you find in the caves on Glacio, and that's why we're here on Glacio, because the ones on Glacio are better than the home planet ones. And when you hold F on one of these, which I guess I'll just go ahead and do, if you hold F on one of these, it gives you 365 bytes, and that's a crap ton for something that just spawns in on a rock. But it gets better, guys, because if you put it in a research chamber, that value nearly triples to give you 1,000 bytes once it's researched. But the downside to that, clearly, is that, as you can see, it takes 36 minutes for it to do so, and that can be a bit of a downside, of course, but again, this is fully automatic, and if you set up enough, and you can set up as many as you want, you can set up a crap ton to counter that, and then once you set it up, even though it will be very expensive if you set a bunch of them up, it'll last you forever, and you never have to worry about it again. I can't stress that enough, because it might be like, you might be thinking, wow, this isn't worth it because it's so expensive, but once you get over that, that's it. That's all you have to do. You only have to get over it one time because it's done after that. Now, I should mention straight out the gate here that the most expensive part is likely going to be the power, because in this system right here, it is incomplete. This is not a complete system. This is a representation, because I am indeed in creative mode here. I did not want to finish the whole thing. If you go down here, you will see that I'm actually, because, first of all, I need to mention that these rocks do respawn, okay? These rocks spawn on these little, like, sometimes off, like, there's certain pillars. Golly, I can't even line up with the freaking... Alright, look. They're supposed to be sitting on some of these, and then if you take them off, they will respawn after probably, I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes. They respawn eventually. And then, obviously, this is going to re-pick that up and send it to the end of the line. Now, in a system like this, it depends on how many rocks is on each thing. But in my current case, I have this huge system here set up. And it gives me access to 3 spawns total of these rocks. Which means that 3 of them will respawn in this whole entire system. Which obviously is not enough to keep up with 10 research chambers. But these RTGs I have back here, they are like for this amount of auto arms. Alright guys, I kind of worded that weird. What I'm saying is, this is not expanded to the point where it can actually support this many research chambers, and if it was, I would need more RTGs. I should have just led with that, don't know why the frick I made that so hard. But, as a result, if you don't want to use RTGs and you want to use solar panels instead, it'll obviously not work during the nighttime, but that will be more cheap for you, and you can potentially expand it way, way further, which may be more efficient in the end anyways, if you can get more than twice the amount of solar panels, I guess. But I actually just recommend going for the RTGs, because this is not a whole lot of RTGs right here. And if you had to expand this thing until it worked self-sufficiently, I don't think you would go past 32 RTGs, and in a video I've actually made recently, I have proven that 32 RTGs really isn't as hard to get as you may think, so long as you are in the late game, and that's where you should be if you're making this thing. If you're making this thing and you are not in the late game, that really is your first mistake. You should just wait until the late game to make this, because otherwise, you can just go down there and get these bytes manually, and that's really freaking good for the early game, so you shouldn't really mess with something like this until it's easy for you. Also, a little side note, try not to walk too close to where these things place, because they will place it in your inventory. Now, the reason this isn't really a big deal is because once you set this thing up, you never have to return. So, I mean, it's only a problem while you're building the system. But just do keep in mind that, yes, it will indeed place these straight in your inventory if you get too close. Now, I do hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but I did not actually bring the exact statistics on how fast these rocks respawn. There may be a range, it may be exact, I do not know, but my point is, I don't know how many research chambers to each rock you would need. My guess would be you need 1 research chamber for each rock that the auto arms would pick up naturally, which would be a kind of safe bet. For example, I have 10 research chambers here. I would want 10 respawn locations for those rocks so that each research chamber has a respawn location, so hopefully it will be respawned by the time the research chamber is done, effectively making this self-sustainable forever after I leave. And obviously I need to give you some sort of baseline statistic to go off of here. So with these here 10 research chambers, it appears that I have 173 bytes per minute, which isn't a freakishly large amount. 65 bytes per minute, rather, is... Well, hang on a second, because that's... Okay, well, I don't know what I did wrong, but the evidence seems to suggest that if you max it... What the frick's going on? The evidence... Oh... Alright, yes, the evidence seems to indicate that if you can get these at their max speed, they will deliver you 59 bytes per minute, which means if you had 10, then naturally I should be getting 390 bytes per minute, which is a pretty dang big amount, and you have to understand that if you get this thing self-sustainable in every way, shape, and form, That's 390 bytes per minute forever and ever. It'll never stop. That'll be 390 bytes per minute unless you dismantle the entire project. I mean, it's self-sustainable if you do it right, is what I'm saying. So even though it's really expensive, you got to understand the degree of overpoweredness that it comes with this kind of system. It's amazing. Which really brings us to the end of this video. It was a short one, but I decided to do all the problem solving off camera just for you, so like and subscribe. But in all seriousness, you really have to ask yourself, do you need a system this overpowered? Because honestly, going into the caves and gathering these bytes manually is crazy powerful, and you can unlock probably everything in the game without doing that too many times in a row. This really just depends on how late game you want to go and how overpowered you want your save to be. This really may not be worth it to you for what you're getting out of it, and so you do need to take that into consideration before building it. However, it really is indeed a neat project, and I definitely recommend going for it just for fun, if nothing else, because after all, Astroneer is just about getting things. I mean, it's a game of grinding. You grind. Oh, frick, I keep hitting my mic. Astroneer is just a game of grinding. You grind so that you can grind even better next time, and that's it. That's the entire cycle, which sounds kind of boring, but the game's set up good enough to where it's not boring. So that's basically it. This right here system definitely falls into what Astroneer is in a very big way, and having automated systems in general is just satisfying. And also, it would be neat to just see how far you can let your bytes go up, because as you can see here, this is fast. That is fast, and it's forever if you do it right, which I didn't, of course. This is not a complete system, because I didn't see the point when I could just bring you the information anyways. But this right here is not a, like, if you had a complete system, this rate right here that you see the bytes going up by will never quit. It'll keep on doing that all the time when your save's loaded up, and that's just incredible. Oh, but yes, my outro here is getting a little lengthy, and definitely, by the way, feel free to leave suggestions in the comments down below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, join my Discord in the description. Right now nobody's in it, so you'd be the first to join if you do, just saying. You'd be special, so yes.